the way that we hung in there. We kind of weathered the storm there early. They were executing at a high level. It was kind of a combination of both. We weren't getting off the field on third down. The first drive, we get them in 3rd and 6. We get them in, I want to say, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8. So there was 3 critical third downs that we didn't get off the field. We got him in the backfield the one time when we brought 6, and he ended up getting out. They rubbed us off on a route to the flat on the 3rd down and 6. We were trying to bring edge pressure, and we didn't execute it, and he rubs the receiver off. So, I mean, it was that we weathered the storm. I just kept telling our guys, hey, sometimes there's just days like that. Hey, they're executing. We're not executing at a high level right now, but look, just keep playing the next play, and we did. So that was the one positive to me, is they just kept playing. They showed people what was truly inside of them, and I was very proud of that.
Is it fair to say that there was an adjustment period after Jordan went out that took a little bit to get the defense used to it?
I don't want to make excuses, but when kids practice at a certain position all week, trying to get them prepared in case something like that were to happen, and then the first series of the game, you're playing a different position than you repped all week. There was something to it, because we didn't execute a couple of pressures. We didn't fit some things. The run fits kind of got loose a little bit, which really hasn't happened all year long. So it did, and that's a good assessment, because once we did settle down, from the middle of the second quarter on, I mean, they make 3 field goals, and all 3 of those field goals came down to a critical 3rd down, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8. And where we just tackle the kid at the sticks one time, the guy they make a nice throw and catch one time on a man pressure, and then it just boiled right down to that. Other than that, the game wasn't a whole lot different than the West Virginia game. We played great red zone defense. I mean, stopped them, I think, 5 out of 7 times or something like that, for about 71% in the red zone, which is really good. But we just didn't execute on third down at a high level like we have all year long.
What did you see from Jordan those first couple of series that maybe allowed you to know, okay, he's not as effective as me?
Yeah, I mean, he'll tell you, that first drive, he had 3 tackles. First play of the game, he comes right through the backfield, has got a chance to make a TFL, and doesn't. I mean, it's the same play that against Oklahoma State, where he just makes a great play, and same thing with the 2 runs to the perimeter that turned into long runs. He's right there, got a chance to make the play, and he just wasn't able to do it. And I mean, that's in my mind. That's when, after that third one, I was like going, I don't think this is going to be able to work out today.
Who were the players that were practicing at different positions within?
Well, we had Adam Beck dual training at 2 different positions. We had Rico dual training at 2 different positions, and then I ended up moving Xavier Benson. He's been to the field. I had to put him into the boundary, just playing out different scenarios that could potentially happen in the game. And it just, for whatever reason, you just kind of lose that rhythm that you built in the West Virginia game. Now all of a sudden things are a little bit out of kilter, and that's kind of what it felt like for the first quarter and a half, that we were just out of kilter. I mean, wasn't that our guys weren't playing hard. They were playing hard and trying to make plays, but with all the right intentions, at times just being out of position on a run fit, or being out of position on a pressure, because it's different people running different blitz tracks and things like that. So, but again, we just have to be able to adapt and overcome and to just manage that better throughout the course of a week.
How would you describe the Kansas State offense?
I would say probably in a lot of ways very similar to what TCU was. TCU was very balanced coming into that game. They didn't play that well against Baylor, but they'd shown against Texas, and they'd shown Oklahoma State the ability to make plays and move the ball and score, and they were very balanced. These guys are the same. The quarterbacks are very similar. And that was kind of the philosophy early in the game Saturday. I thought, hey, what I'd noticed on film is that people played tight coverage and pressured him a little bit. He wasn't as accurate, and that's where you got to tip your hat to him. He had a heck of a first quarter, and then these guys are the same way. They're very balanced. They have three running backs that they're going to try to establish the run, the quarterback runs, quarterback power, quarterback counter, and then they're going to try to play action. So you got to get them. Those type teams, you can't let them be balanced. You got to get them one-dimensional, and you got to get them off schedule, and to where now the play action is not nearly as effective when they're behind the chains. And we did that fairly consistently. I mean, we forced, I don't know how many third downs. It just, for whatever reason, we just could not execute at the same, level that we have for most of the time this season, with the exception of a few games.
As a defensive coordinator, when you see the time of possession being 43 minutes for the offense, and your defense being out there for over 100 plays, which one of those stats worries you more?
None of them really. I mean, because it's our responsibility to get off the field on third down. I mean, I preach to them all the time. Look, every time someone converts a third down on us, that's potentially somewhere between 5 to 7 more plays you're going to play every series. I never look at time of possession. We play the game. We play an attacking, aggressive style defense. We play an up-tempo offense. That's who we are. And it's just, and we got to complement each other. We did not complement our offense the other day because we couldn't get off the field on third down. We forced no turnovers. And when you build your defense around those two things, then obviously it puts the offense behind the 8 ball because they can't get into a rhythm, and it doesn't create any excitement or any energy for us when we do get those third down stops and when we do get that takeaway to set up and create field position.
Coach, when you see some maybe the effectiveness in the red zone for your defense and then ineffectiveness in other areas of the field, is it as simple to say it's just because you have less field to cover, or is it more complex than that?
Well, I would say there's obviously, anytime you have more grass to cover, it makes it a little bit more difficult because now it becomes down to, it might be something as simple as you got a great athlete in space with the ball, and now you got maybe one guy, two guys that got to get him down and tackle him. So obviously that's more difficult. You can pack it in there in the red zone, try to stop the run, and then force them to throw the ball into numbers, which is very difficult to do. So, but stopping people in the red zone is not quite as easy as it sounds either. I mean, but yeah, I think it's probably a combination of both. And to me, I think it's really been just more of a little bit of an inconsistency in our performance more than it's been. I mean, you watch the video. Anytime that you can go in this league and it comes down to the last 4 losses we have come down to the last series, the last 2 series, the Iowa State game came down to the last 2 series, the Kansas game, the Baylor game, that game came down to the last series of the game. You got to be doing something right, and we've positioned ourselves to win those games. Now it's just with our guys sometimes, and I was telling Dave, sometimes I think I have a greater belief in you than you have in yourself, and because I put them in position, like I just said, I'm not ever going to apologize for being aggressive. I'm just not. I mean, that's who we are. That's what we do. We have to do a better job of coaching and fundamentals and technique and executing, whether it be a blitz track, a blitz technique, or teaching guys how to get off blocks up front and how to cover under stress. And because it's stressful when it's you and a receiver and the ball's in the air and all eyes are on you. That's stressful for a young man. We got to get our guys where they're confident and they play with that confidence in those situations.
What are I know you guys have 2 more games left, guaranteed, with the potential for 1 more.
Yeah.
But what are some of the things that the younger players are really getting down that gets you excited for the future?
Well, I think you saw, Jordan and I were just talking about that earlier. He said, man, you got a glimpse of the future there in the second half of that game. And he's right. I mean, you look out there, I think at one time there were 4 freshmen on the field, if you count Xavier, with Tony Bradford and Rabbit and Alex Hogan and Xavier Benson being a redshirt freshman. And man, I mean, those guys were out there and they were competing at a very high level. Alex Hogan has started to figure it out. You saw him played with a lot of confidence on Saturday. I think they've taken what they have learned from guys like Broderick and guys like Jordan and even guys like Doug, and they've seen what that the work ethic and the preparation. I think that's probably what's helped them more than anything. And now all of a sudden they're getting on the field and they're having opportunities to make plays. But yeah, I think it's been invaluable to play some of those younger guys in these critical situations and games, and we're still in games. I mean, at the end of every one of them, and we told them, look, the next two are going to be no different. They're coming down to the fourth quarter. Let's take what we've learned in those 4 games that we came up a little bit short, and let's just carry it into it. And let's figure out a way to win.
Coach, you talked about how Skylar Thompson's kind of similar to what you saw against TCU.
Yeah.
How does he maybe differ from your run-of-the-mill dual threat quarterback?
I think he's probably got, he obviously has more experience. I think he's played for a couple of years, and you can just see that he doesn't put the ball in jeopardy. He's only thrown 3 interceptions on the year, makes good decisions. He spreads the ball around to a lot of different receivers, and he's smart when he pulls the ball down to run it. And he'll get what he can get, and then he'll either get out of bounds or and there's a lot of times he just tries to run over people. So I think that just his experience and just has a really good feel for the game.
What's this senior class mean to you?
That's a great question. I pulled those guys in for sure. Jordan and Doug Coleman and Broderick Washington, those are the guys that I probably spend the most and have spent the most time visiting with on a one-on-one basis, and just a respect for buying into us, a bunch of strangers, a bunch of guys that come in here that they've never heard of and weren't recruited by, to be able to come and give us what they have given us and to be able to do for this program. We're not done, and they don't believe for 1 second we're done. Talk to Jordan Brooks, talk to Broderick Washington. That's what's been. You come watch us practice, you watch these guys prepare, you wouldn't believe that it's a 4-6 team. I can tell you that. Just their mindset and the approach that they have taken, they have bought in hook, line, and sinker to what we're doing. Those guys are even starting to get excited about the future, and they're not even done yet. And we're sitting over there today in practice, and that's what Jordan was like, going, man, I wish I could come back next year. I said, man, what a small glimpse of what we can become looking at those guys. And they know we've been that close. It's been 3 or 4 plays a game that altered the outcome, and it's a process. We've said it since the day we got here. It's a process. There's no magical calls. There's no magical process. It just takes time. And I hate it that we've lost these close games, but all I can control is doing everything we can to beat Kansas State.
With that group of guys, have they also taught you anything about yourself coming in and being a new coach and getting them to buy in?
Yeah, I think leadership is obviously invaluable, and it always has to start from the top down. And all I got to do is to be an extension of what Coach Wells is trying to instill in these young men, and because I believe in everything that he believes and talks to our young men when it comes down to discipline and the way you treat people with respect, giving back to your community, which all those things have everything to do with the product that you see on the field. All I heard, I couldn't even go to the grocery store when I first got here without everybody saying, just don't get personal fouls. Well, now all of a sudden they forgot that comment. It's a little bit more than just don't get personal fouls. But you know what? You don't see our guys being undisciplined. Our guys are disciplined. That's a part of the buy-in that you're talking about with this senior class, and they've set the example. But it has been a learning experience. Because I'm a little bit aggressive by nature when it comes to calling defense, and then all of a sudden in the second or third game of the year we lose our starter. I probably should have adapted maybe a little bit quicker and say, okay, let's give this guy a chance to get his feet on the ground, and let's just maybe defend a little bit more in certain times. But it's hard to all of a sudden, here's who we are, here's who's we have been. Say what you want to say. In 2 years, we have forced 50 turnovers. That's incredible. That we've done that, and yet all of a sudden, circumstances changed on the offense. So maybe I should have adapted maybe a little bit quicker, and it might have led to another win or two.
You may have already been asked this, but Adam Beck,
Yeah.
I asked Matt earlier today, when he has that much success playing in the box and looking pretty fearless, does that make you think how you might use him in the future?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, here's a guy that was a corner, moved to safety, and all of a sudden he's playing linebacker against TCU. I mean, that's just where we are. And really, a lot of it was just he just got in there and played with a lot of energy and a lot of emotion, and I couldn't be more proud of Adam and what he did. And it definitely now he's just got to learn to stack success and do that on a consistent basis to where we can get him out there. And but there's no doubt. I mean, moved him in there closer to the box. All of a sudden, he got more aggressive and got more seemed very comfortable and did a lot of really good things. So. Yeah, that's something I think that we can expand here over the next 2 games for sure.